Secretary Nancy Gamble Hatfield. It is Tuesday, April 7th, 2015, and this is a regular meeting of the Dublin San Ramon Services District Board of Directors. Presiding this evening is President Ed Duarte.
Nancy, call the meeting to order. Please stand for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Director Bonte. Here. Director Benson. Here. Director Halkett.
Here.
Vice President Howard.
Here.
President Duarte.
Here.
Thank you.
Item 4, special announcements.
Nothing tonight.
Public comments. At this time, the audience, anyone in the audience is encouraged to address the board on any item of interest that is within the subject matter of jurisdiction of the board, but not already included on tonight's agenda. See no participants in the audience. Moving on to reports. 6A.
Yes, President Duarte and members of the board, a couple or three quick things for you. On Monday, April 20th, the Contra Costa Special Districts Association will be meeting up at Central San at 10 o'clock in their multi-purpose room. If anybody is interested in going, you're certainly invited. I do not think invitations are needed, or reservations are needed for that meeting.
If any of the board members would like to go, I normally go to every month, every quarter to that, but I will not be able to go to this coming meeting.
We would like to have a special board meeting starting at 5 o'clock next, at 2 Tuesdays from now on April 21st. Again, to focus on the next level of discussion on our long-term water resources master plan. You'll recall we kind of introduced that topic to the board at a special meeting about 6 weeks ago. We've made some great progress on it. We're at the point where we have some concepts we want to roll out to you and give you a chance to kick them around. That workshops seem to work okay from a process standpoint, but I'm always trying to be respectful of your time to see if you can, in fact, make it for a 5 o'clock start time on the 21st.
I sent you an email. I won't be able to attend the 21st.
Okay.
Back either meeting.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I can't.
And
I'm fine.
okay. And the last item under event calendar is Aqua is holding its spring conference May 5th through the 8th, which is a Tuesday through a Friday. Normally we tweak the board meeting at that time, and I guess we could consider that moving it to Monday. But the conference is up in Sacramento, and I have to be there on Tuesday, but I'm not staying overnight or anything, so I'll definitely be back. So I don't, unless somebody else is staying overnight, I don't have a need to, ask the board to move the meeting to Monday night like we sometimes do.
Is that, this is about the time we've taken up the drought extension?
No, well, let me get into that very quickly. I think we're going to wait till the 19th to take that.
I just want to be sure we do it on a regular meeting this time.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, no, I think we'll do it on the 19th. And Nancy, I've been kind of moving pretty quick today, as you know. I didn't hear if we received any correspondence to it from the board. Nothing since our last board meeting. Thank you. So I would note that the one closed session is tied to a consent calendar item, and if you affirmatively approve the consent calendar item, the personal services agreement do not need a closed session.
Next item, approval of minutes first for the regular meeting of March 17, and District Council Nelson has provided us with a revised page 7.
I'll move to
Do I hear a
approve.
motion?
Second.
As amended?
As amended.
And moved and seconded to approve the amended minutes for the regular meeting of March 17. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We also had a special meeting on March 19th. The minutes are attached.
I'll move to approve the March 19th minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes for the special meeting of March 19th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Moving on to the consent calendar, there's items 8A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H.
I'd like to pull D, please.
Okay,
Actually, I'd like to pull C.
any others?
You say B or D?
I said D is in Dawn.
Oh, D. You said D.
D is in Dawn.
Okay, yes, it is.
D is in Dawn.
Okay. Could I hear a motion for the revised items numbers on the consent calendar?
I'll move approval of consent calendar A, B, E, F, G, and H.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as noted, amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, item
C, that was, the only reason I wanted to clarify what we're doing. The part of this looks like has to do with consecutive terms as opposed to non-consecutive terms. The other,
That's absolutely correct.
and that's kind of like
correct.
D, 8D. But the other part talks about being on a JPA for a year before you can become an officer. And I kind of have a little problem well, for one, the problem is that the JPAs kind of elect their chairs and vice chairs. Kind of like in July or something. It's kind of 6 months out of phase with this.
I think LAVMA maybe. Dur was in phase with the calendar year.
I was thinking for like law, maybe, well, like the general, make it like 6 months instead of a year in case you come into that situation.
The problem with both of these is that now they're meeting so infrequently
Yeah.
that sometimes you're president for a year and a half before the next board meeting. And so
Yeah.
to talk about terms in those terms is kind of difficult.
Yeah, because like I was president for 6 months, but we never had a meeting, so that was that. And I rotated off to something else.
Yeah, I guess I just don't see the whole point of worrying about it.
Yeah.
Worried about at the...
The 1 year.
The one
Year thing.
I just had a note, somebody, and I tell you the truth, I can't remember who made the comment, but at some point, you know, we kind of compile these things, and when it comes up to time for the policy, we kind of address them. Somebody made the term that you should at least be on the JPA, get a feeling for the business of the JPA for a while before you find yourself as vice chair and perhaps running the meeting.
And then also with DUR, since there's only 2 organizations, we always have either a chair or a vice chair.
Well, but you know what? Look at the last meeting.
I know, I was...
Everybody was gone, and we had no chair and no vice chair.
And so anyway, I just like, I don't see the need for that.
It's trying to solve a problem that may not exist. I mean,
Yeah.
many years ago,
It's up to you.
many years
I
ago,
have
they
to
gave me the
agree.
gavel to do the first minute I was in the room, and it's literally just fallen. It's just chairman meeting. There's no special powers, no intrinsic, There's no reason not to do it.
Right.
So if I had my druthers, I'd send this back, strike the 1 year bit, and keep the service part.
So basically, Rich, I think what you and Pat are saying is if you're looking at the track changes version, point number 4, delete that very last new sentence, paragraph 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
And then,
That works.
Same thing with this.
Do you want to wait for it to come back to the consent, or we got
Can we just do it now?
Yeah, let's just do it now.
You might want to, the same provision appears in the resolution, I'm just pointing that out also. It's item
Where's that?
1 of the...
Oh, yeah, the fourth recital, so we'll strike point number 1 of the fourth recital.
well, I'm in favor of doing it now as long as we keep it straight.
So in addition, it will be address one issue,
It'll address one issue.
and we'll take that as that.
And we'll delete point number 1.
Make your motion, Mr. Howard.
Okay, then I am moving for approval of 8C as we have discussed, removing part of being on a JPA for a year.
Whereas number 4, number 1. I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the motion, to approve the revised resolution as stated in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
D.
D for Dawn. First of all, I want to congratulate Nancy and her team for what a great policy. I really like this policy because of the record retention schedule. So congratulations. I know it's tedious. I like the fact that it shows the code, and then it states why we did what we did, and so there's the twofold when we've gone against the code. The question that I have is on page 12. And it is under 0301-08, meeting video recordings. And I'm wondering, I know it's only 30 days with general code. We've done calendar year plus 5. Anyone near there?
The actual
So that's-
recordings.
Yeah, the video recordings. Because we're changing the basis of the minutes, the minutes are going to be condensed now. I'm wondering if the minutes are a permanent record, why don't we make those video recordings a permanent record?
Well, if you pick up permanent recording, then, technology, you always have to make sure that you're keeping up with that technology. That might sound simple on the face of it, but it might prove to be more challenging, perhaps. It's one consideration.
Yeah, I understand that.
You have any thoughts on
I mean, I just wanted to bring it up to the board. I mean, because we've moved, the notes now are much easier for you guys. The minutes are much easier for you guys to deal with, but I think the benefit of having the videos for historical purposes, we need to go back. I don't know, I'm just bringing it up. Thoughts? I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry. No.
So we matter of fact, we kicked this idea around, so, we thought we happened to think 10 years was kind of a reasonable period of time. If anybody really wanted to go back and really research who said what to whom, 10 years seemed pretty reasonable. You do run into technology issues. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just say we were doing this in the 1970s, we would still need to have an 8-track tape player here, to do so. So.
Well, this
we'd have
one
to be
says calendar plus 5.
I have one, by the way.
Yeah, like calendar
Yeah.
blocks are every 5 years. So calendar blocks.
Yeah, but 5 years, the technology is changing. So I don't know, I thought I'd bring it up.
It sounds
I know
like we
it's-
would defer to staff's recommendation from the standpoint of the amount of work that you think it might involve.
But wait a minute, I'm not sure I understand what the staff recommendation is. Is it 30
I said
days?
10 years just a minute.
No,
I
this
was
is,
gonna say five.
this is the code, and this is our decision, the staff's recommendation.
Law requires 30 days, we're proposing current year plus 5, or that's what
Okay.
staff is
And I'm-
proposing.
And the only
I'm happy
reason
with
is
it.
because we've gone to a condensed minutes. So I don't know if it's maybe 10 years, 7 years.
I think 5 years is,
I think 5 years is sufficient.
Seems enough.
you get an election rotation in there in case anybody wanted to do
Right.
research for taking on an opponent. So you've got an election year, election rotation.
I was just thinking more of a permanent, because the minutes are permanent.
Yeah, but the minutes are still, we didn't go to the
Real
bare
short.
bones.
Yeah, we didn't,
Minutes.
it's still a pretty comprehensive set.
Well, the thing that's missing from them, which probably doesn't matter to anybody, but is who said what. And sometimes that's important, not to the whole context of the issue, but to the individual. However, I think 5 years is fine, 5 years plus
Yeah,
1.
I'm okay with that.
Okay?
All right, well, that's it for me. Otherwise, nice job. I just wanted to bring that up because of the fact that it really, what does the city do? What is the city's?
It's a good question. They're one of the next couple of months, they're going to look on a retention policy because the Historical and Cultural Arts Commission reminded them that they do not have a formal retention policy for city records. They've kept them, but mostly because you've got city clerks that know what to do, but they don't have a formal policy. So they're looking to develop one.
They haven't developed anything yet.
And the benefit of the policy is it provides you guidelines as to when it's appropriate to destroy documents. That's what this is all about, it's really about destroying them rather than retaining them. It just tells you how soon you can do that, because you do it not in accordance with law, you've obviously got a problem.
Well, anymore, destroying records is such a huge issue, you know. We're supposed to keep these things forever. You're right.
So anyway, I was just curious. So I thought, well, they're nice to have, but sometimes.
Any more discussion?
Any more discussion? All right, so I move to approve 8D.
Been moved and seconded to approve item 8D as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Other business? 8A? 9A, excuse me.
Yes, President Guardi and members of the board, this is a standing item related to our drought management program. It's an opportunity for the board and the public to talk about the current program that's in place. We've had this in every board meeting since we declared a state of emergency. But I'd also like to take the opportunity right now to talk about where we're going from here. As you know, there's been a couple of developments over the last several weeks related to water in California. It started with the State Water Resources Control Board back about 4 weeks ago developed some emergency regulations, which actually mirror ours pretty well. They added a few new prohibitions like laundry at hotels and things like that. That the hotels are not supposed to automatically wash bedding and towels unless the customers want. A few other things, but our ordinances are 99% alignment. Of course, one of the things we want to do as we move forward is make sure they're in actual alignment, but I'm not real worried about them at this point. They're pretty close. The next item that came up was last week, as you know, on April 1st, in response to just an abysmal snow survey. The governor declared or extended the state of emergency. I thought it was kind of interesting. He extended it through February 28, 2016. Nobody told me that 2016 is a leap year. But through February 28th of 2016. So he extended the state of emergency. And there's a few things in there that we'll have to address also as we go forward with our state of emergency going forward. And then today, the State Water Resources Control, because what the governor did is not what was reported in the paper. Right? What was reported in the paper was he declared 25% curtailment for urban water use in the state of California. That's not what he did. He said that overall, across the state, we need programs in place to overall achieve 25%. And he ordered the State Water Resources Control Board to develop city or agency by agency guidelines as to what that percent should be, using per capita water use in that community as a guideline. In other words, and this is my interpretation, but reading between the lines of the order, a community that's using a lot of water, gallons per capita per day, is going to have to achieve a greater savings than a community perhaps at the other end of the spectrum, which would be San Francisco, which virtually has no outdoor irrigation, is always very low per capita use. So the large user is going to have to obtain, I'm making these numbers up, maybe 40%, where San Francisco might be in the 10% range. Well, he charged the state board with doing that. That process is going on. The state board is going to, I think, consider those numbers later this month. But today, the state board issued their proposal for those numbers. And they basically categorized water districts and agencies and cities across the state in what they called several categories. I think there was category 1 through, I think, 4, maybe 5. Category 1 being the lowest percent conservation that's required based on the gallons per capita per day in those cities. And these are just draft off the state board website. Where is my notes? Here we go. And it's very interesting. DSRSD is mentioned. We're identified as a Tier 2 agency. So according to the proposal from the state board, we're going to have to achieve 20% reduction in water use.
From 2013.
From 2013.
Not cumulative from
Not
last year.
cumulative,
That's
from
very important to
2013.
get out there.
But the interesting part is that the city of Livermore and the city of Pleasanton are identified in Tier 3, and they are called on to achieve 25% conservation, which is going to be really interesting because our contracts with Zone 7 call for essentially equal conservation across the valley, but then that's even more complicated because, of course, Pleasanton doesn't even have a contract with Zone 7. So I'm not sure where all this is heading. The other dynamic here is within the last couple of days, Zone 7 issued for consideration by their Water Resources Committee this coming Thursday their water sustainability report. In their water sustainability report, it's a pretty good report. It's a nice technical report. It's a compilation of a lot of data, etc. The punchline in there is the report states that the zone can deliver 100% of what the contractors ask for, but they identified that they would abide by the governor's request for a 25% conservation target, which is sort of different than what is now coming out from the state board, so I'm not sure how that's all been sorted out. And while it's true, I believe that the zone can physically deliver that water, the way they're going to deliver that water is basically through a withdrawal of about 20,000 acre-feet from the ground, not from the groundwater basin entirely, but from all of their storage sources. And at a 25% curtailment, they would still have to withdraw almost 17,000 acre-foot from storage to make those deliveries. Have a little graphic for you of how storage has, let me just pass those down, how storage in the various buckets that Zone 7 has access to has behaved over the last, say, 4 years since the drought really started. And in 2012, these are all numbers at the beginning of the year indicated. You'll see at 2012, they had about 225,000 acre-foot in storage, and with the projected depletions in 2016, we're looking at ending this year below 150,000 acre-foot of storage. So we're continuing to withdraw water from the groundwater basin. So and we're talking to Zone 7 staff, and I believe that the issue is not whether they can physically deliver the water, but really I think there needs to be a consideration of the management of the water resource for the future and consideration of the possibility of a continuing series of dry years going forward. And of course, nobody has a crystal ball, so how in the world can you predict that? But I think you have to prudently plan for a continuation of the dry years going forward. So we've talked to Zone 7 staff about that today in conjunction with the other retailers. They're going to have a water resources meeting on Thursday. You're, of course, invited to that water resources meeting. We're still thinking about what our formal response, but I think I feel that we need to at least go on record that an effort needs to be made to preserve some of the water that's in storage right now for future use, so we're not sort of burning through our kids' inheritance over here. Now, we may be wrong, and we may have a wet year next year, and all this may be for naught, but I think it's prudent to continue to plan that way. So we're not sure how that's an issue moving forward in real time.
Will this be a topic for the 27th?
I'm sure, it will be a topic for 27th. The court to schedule Dan and Dan, as I know it.
You mean the 22nd?
This will go to the Zone 7 Water Resources meeting this Thursday, and it'll go to the Zone 7 board meeting for adoption on next week, Wednesday, so it'll be a fait accompli at the 22nd Tri-Valley Water Policy Roundtable.
Well, I was thinking about the 27th, they're trying to get a liaison meeting going with the zone.
Oh, yeah. That meeting, that liaison meeting is looking at Brad Ledesma's long-term water planning project. So, you're bringing up a good point, Rich. At the roundtable, which is on the 22nd, this is going to be a fait accompli, and perhaps our comments, one of our comments should be, why don't you slow the process down and give the Tri-Valley Water Policy Roundtable an opportunity to discuss this before you act.
I mean, I don't want to sound paranoid or cynical, but I mean, I would hate that this insistence on 100% is in any way geared at the Yuba transfer, because this certainly doesn't comport with the reality that we're all reading about throughout the state.
And I certainly hate to see our groundwater basins compromised more than they already are.
Well, as I said, we agree that physically that amount of water can be delivered. The lakes and pumps are big enough, and the wells are large enough. There can be that amount of water delivered at the price of pulling.
What is the price?
Well, I'm going to say at the price of pulling out nearly 20,000 acre feet out of the groundwater, not more than 20,000. I lost track of my number here, but pulling a lot of storage, almost 28,600 acre foot of delivery, 28,600 acre foot of water from total storage to make 100% deliveries, and 16,800 acre feet to make 75% deliveries.
What I think is kind of strange about this, and actually I've spoken to a couple of the Zone 7 board members, and they really can see our point, some of them even agree, is at the risk of taking so much out of storage, the groundwater basin storage, and the fact that we still don't know if we're going to be able to get semi-tropic or Coelho this year, that it seems kind of goofy to be trying to get 100%. It makes more sense to acknowledge that they can't deliver 100%. Anyway, and some of the board members do agree. The groundwater basin is being hit up a lot lately, and you can even tell in the water. The water's not the same. So I don't know if they pass it before we get to talk about it at the retailers meeting, I don't know what difference it really makes. What difference does it really make?
At any point, it's a fait accompli.
Any action can be undone. I mean,
Pardon?
any action by any organization can be
Yeah.
fixed if there's enough pressure. And I'm not sure can't's the right word. Shouldn't is the word I would use.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Because, you can pump a well pretty darn hard and get it all, but
Till it's
shouldn't,
dry.
yeah, shouldn't is not is where I would go.
Well, especially if we
Speaking
can't.
of water, how about Yuba?
Okay,
How's
so-
that warrant act?
Okay, no, very good. So here's where we are, and thank you for that. I got a little distraction there. The Bureau has not yet posted their environmental assessment. Once they do, there's a 5-day review period. Immediately after that, if there's no adverse comments identified, they will then issue a warrant act contract to the district to allow use of Folsom South Canal. If you go through the calendar on that, you'll understand that the earliest that warrant act contract would be issued to the district would be Wednesday or Thursday of next week. The transfer window is not fixed by a calendar, it's fixed by conditions in the delta, but everybody's hydraulic modeling says the transfer window, if it's going to open, will open up next week, Thursday or Friday, and remain open probably through just about the end of the month. It's a very narrow window for this. Basically, the delta cannot be in what they call balanced conditions. It has to be in excess conditions for the transfer to occur. So, the transfer, still a possibility is still out there, but, there's an institutional hurdle to be crossed with the Bureau, and then, of course, there's the hydraulic issue with the Delta. East Bay Mud is scheduled to make a formal decision to fire up Freeport on their account at their board meeting next week. Tuesday, that's being a bit presumptuous, that's going to be their staff's recommendation to their board. And if they do that, they'll be taking water pretty quickly. They're preparing for starting of Freeport as we speak. So if this comes together, it's going to come together pretty quick in probably the last week of April.
Any sense that there's anything nefarious happening, or is it just a big bureaucracy trying to get a contract?
Rich, I think it's a big bureaucracy, and I think they're very busy. I don't think there's anything nefarious. Is that saying they couldn't work more efficiently, you know? Yeah, frankly, I'd find a way to get it done if I were in charge, but I'm not in charge. So.
I noticed something in the Aqua magazine we got that I hadn't actually seen compared to recently, and that is the state water allocations in recent years. It went from 2007 up to 2014. And it's really been different for a lot of years. What I'm curious about, if someone could take this, maybe Dan can do it, and tell me what we actually received of our allocation.
Yeah, we can do that pretty easily. Yeah.
I find
And
the
we
comparison
would be zone 7, because, you know, the
Yes.
allocation doesn't quite close to
Right.
zone 7. I think that's pretty easy to do. Basically, we haven't received a full allocation since 2002, and I think we've been averaging probably in the 50s, maybe even under 50%.
Well, just from 2007, the state water allocation was 60, 35, 40, 50, 80, 65, 35, and then the famous 5% last year.
Yeah, they're talking 20% this year, 20%. So we're probably under 50 or pretty close to 50. The current thinking is the long-term state state water project, long-term with no improvements, is probably at best 60%, 55 to 60%. I think that's the long-term reliability of the state project right now.
And they fixed the pumps too, right? The pumps are fixed, the pumps are fixed, so.
The 800,000 we couldn't get at. Thank you.
Further discussion?
So what I was going to lead to is Director Helge's question. We, given the action on the state board, which will probably happen at the end of this month, we're waiting for some direction from Zone 7, which will be coming out when they formally take action. I think, and since our program is truly, it's 98% in compliance with what the government and the state board will come out with, so I'm not really worried about moving forward. I think we're better off waiting until all the cards are settled. We'll see what we have and do it in one series of actions on May 19th, kind of like what we did a little bit earlier in the calendar year last time. And just kind of go through those things. Basically just extending the state of emergency to match what the governor declared, and then making tweaks and prohibitions to match these new things that have come out.
Okay. Because we're currently extended through
June 30th.
Same plan time, all right.
Yeah, fiscal year.
All right, good to grab.
Correction.
Yeah.
Board business item 9B, to try to establish the Tri-Valley Water Policy Roundtable Committee as a standing committee of the District Board of Directors.
I can introduce it unless somebody else wants to. This arose, you know, we adopted the standing committees of the board back in December, like we always do. President Duarte sort of redid the mold a little bit, as you know. And I think it's working pretty well. But one of the things that we did at the time, we established this Tri-Valley Water Policy Roundtable Committee as an ad hoc committee. We thought there'd be another meeting or two of it, and that would kind of be the end of it. And we, you know, kind of go into our normal liaison meetings and things. Well, that committee is actually now looking like it's going to be kind of a committee that'll be working and having meetings throughout the course of the year. So it's a little more than kind of a short-term ad hoc committee. The significant, there's two things with an ad hoc committee. The first thing of an ad hoc committee is you don't have to comply with the Brown Act, posting and all of that for an ad hoc committee, although administratively we always have, so that there's nothing really changing there. But the other thing is our board policies as well as state law do not allow for a board member serving on an ad hoc committee to claim a day of service for that meeting. And given the continuing nature of it for the two members, and all of you are alternates on it, the thought was we should turn that from an ad hoc committee into a regular committee retroactive back to the 1st of January. So that's what the matter is before you. Pure policy is your discretion.
Any discussion?
Sounds like a good idea. It cleans things up. And this could go on into the
Oh,
next
yeah,
year.
it's going to be here
At
for a while.
this rate, it's going to be
It's going to be here for a
It'll
while.
be, as long as there's a drought.
Take a motion.
Well, I think it's good for for water supply, continued discussions for future of the water supply in the valley too.
Yeah, that's
I'll
what's,
move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve to establish the Tri-Valley Water Policy Roundtable Committee from a standing, as a standing committee for district policy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Board member item reports. Rick?
not really, we got past the committee reports before I had a chance to speak up. We don't have them very often, so there's a finance committee report on your desk. It's actually pretty important. We had a very good discussion about PERS, unfunded liabilities, where we are financially, and when we develop the budget, I think there's some good news there for all of us, that we can retire this liability, faster than we thought. So yet another step to make the district be on sound financial footing. So I suggest you give it a quick read if you can. That's all I have.
And just as an addition to that, as most of you know, the unfunded liabilities in most communities are pretty high. So we are very unique in that this is a small amount, we can handle it and get us right back, on top again.
It's important that we do handle it, since we can.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I talked to somebody else about their board today, and they're like, how are you guys on all this unfunded liability? I said, we're in great shape.
Yeah, thank you.
They're like, really? And I said, yeah. Planning.
The only thing as I mentioned before, I won't be here on the 21st.
Right. Josie?
I actually have a few things that I'd like to share with the board. The first is on April 2nd, I attended the Economic Development meeting for the Chamber of Commerce, and the speaker was Ron Witter, who's the Community and Government Relations Manager for Kaiser. It looks like they're going ahead. They have not committed to a hospital on the land because of the fact that the way healthcare is delivered now is so different. They're looking at things like maybe a oncology department that is located there, having a radiology department so we don't have to go to Martinez anymore. Most of healthcare is in chronic conditions, and the reality is you don't go into the hospital for chronic conditions. And so they're seeing a different way that it's delivered. That's why this will probably not be a hospital unless something significantly changes. They plan on having 200,000 square feet of medical, 50,000 square feet of commercial. They've got 125,000 members in the Tri-Valley. 450,000 square feet will be high acuity in and out patient care, which is the one where you go in with the surgery one day and you're home the next day. And even though we don't feel that way, they still think the best place for you to get better is at home, so you're not subjected to all the things that are happening at a hospital. There's 58 acres out there, so, and then they had another statistic that was rather interesting. 5% of the people generate 50% of the medical costs. I thought that was rather interesting. So it was very informative, and he finally gave us a date, so to speak, of when they're going to turn the first shovel, and it won't be till mid-2016. So that was one. The second one I attended was the Alameda County Special District's dinner. That was very interesting this year because instead of having a speaker on topic, we had, I'm not sure what it was.
It was a team building management consulting done by a comedy team.
Yeah.
A comedy gal.
It's a place out of San Jose. It was definitely different. She talked a lot about how to do team building in a comedic atmosphere and the goodwill it builds and things like that. But it was so different. I mean, we always have someone talk very stern on some serious issue, and this time it was fun, so.
We're going to make board decisions from now on using rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
I think there's some agencies that work that way.
Yeah. And then the last thing I attended was the State of the City for the Chamber. Obviously, Mayor Hubbard is very proud of Dublin. We received 13 national awards last year, and every time somebody out of the area talks about all of our high density, I always say, you know, I totally agree with you, but we keep receiving awards for doing it, so you know, there's not much we can do about it. We ranked 37th federally and 5th in the Bay Area. Our property tax values in 2014 is $11 billion. In 1999, it was $1.7 billion. So that tells you how much we've grown and what increases have done. In 2014, we added 80 new businesses. The school district is ranked 5th in the state. So, you know, he did obviously have a lot of things to tout about the city of Dublin. And, you know, he came back, he skipped over us at one point, and then he came back and mentioned that, you know, we're part of the partnership, et cetera, et cetera. But the first time, he snubbed us a little bit. So that's all I have.
Good. Dawn?
Okay. So I just am reporting out a couple items that I went to, or two meetings. One was the Alameda County Science and Engineering Fair. So I went and gave awards out, and the people will be coming, the kids will be coming and getting their awards at some point within the next month or so. But the winners at the junior high level were, the first place was the effects of soap nuts on the environment, which is more like aquatic life. It's kind of interesting. Soap nuts. Yeah, little soap nuts.
Okay.
And then and that was a 6th grader from the Stratford School in Pleasanton, and their teacher obviously he had 2 teachers, and one was nominated, or one had won the middle school teacher of the year, so that was pretty exciting. The runner-up for the junior high level was the organic detergents materially decreases the cost of wastewater treatment. So that was from an 8th grader at Quarry Lane, and his teacher was also named middle school teacher of the year. So
Is that true? Is that true?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Oh, okay. I should give you a cheat sheet. Organic detergents materially decreases the cost of wastewater treatment.
Organic?
Detergents. Materially.
As opposed to the other.
As opposed to the other.
Organic detergents, right?
So it was a pretty good little project.
Breakdown, so.
Sounds theoretical.
Yeah, but wait, I'm not done yet. The winner of the senior level was the optimization of the Moringa oleifera functionalization sand for water purification. That was done by a 9th grader at Granada High.
What kind of sand?
Moringa oleifera.
Which is,
Of course, everybody knows that.
sorry.
These kids are like amazing.
What beach do you go to get that?
I know we're getting Santa Cruz sand for our Valley Children's Museum new sandbox, so because it's effective. And then the runner-up was the effect of gray water on flowers and vegetables. So that's very simple. Yeah, we can understand that one. There was a runner-up award that the judges found for the water and excellence was the effect of gray water. Oh no, the other one was a special mention, and that was for an analysis of oxygen depletion and phosphorus pollution as a result of the runoff from different fertilizations. So that's kind of important.
These are high school kids. Oh my God.
Over 480 entries and 650 kids participated. It was packed.
Fantastic.
So that was fun. The next one, we went to the Region 5 meeting. Bert was there as well. We went and toured the Santa Clara Valley Advanced Purification Center. I thought that was pretty cool. AKA recycled water.
Yeah.
But it was, so I brought the materials back if anybody's interested. They have a great program. It kind of makes us want to, like, we need to discussed before, it's time to dust off some of our microfiltration, and let's get busy with that, and the UV light. So that was interesting. It was definitely, it's beautiful, it's a nice facility, it's lovely, and it also is interactive. I mean, it has you can tour the facility very nicely. They've laid it out for tours. And then a follow-up reception was on the collaboration between Peter Druckmeyer from the Tuolumne River Trust did a presentation on the collaboration between water agencies and environmental groups to achieve mutual benefits. And primarily they talked about the Tuolumne River with the San Francisco PUC and how they've been able to balance the nature and the habitat, the agricultural management, and the maintaining of groundwater. And then we had a lively discussion and a roundtable on the different types of drought rates coming up, and also what's different agencies doing regarding the drought. At which we had our tool in the box, the fill station, which has, and also our drought rates, because it's very, it supports low users. I mean, it helps out low users. But Santa Clara Valley has a $2 per foot turf rebate that's unlimited. There's no cap on it. So far, square foot. So far, they've removed 1 million. Wasn't it 1 million feet?
I don't remember, it was a lot.
It was like several $1 million. So that was one of the items that has been very successful for them. And Jim Fielder, he was the COO of Water and Utility Enterprise at the Santa Clara Valley Water. But it was really good. A lot of people shared about, Lisa was there and she shared about East Bay Mud and what they're going through. And it was just a great networking session. Everybody got involved, and it was
Fun evening.
fun evening, yeah. And then last of all, I'd just like to give a shout out to Bert for presenting the Aquahawk technology at the East Bay Mud's brown bag session. So it was a big turnout. In fact, such a turnout that it was the first time Alex has been to the meeting, or to that particular meeting since becoming GM. So he got several directors to come, and it was, people were really amazed, and there was a lot of great questions.
It was a fun meeting.
Yeah. So that's it.
Thank you.
And
Any
here's the
other
science.
reports, comments?
Here's the-
That being said, since there will be no need for a closed session, item 8A was approved.
President Duarte, one other thing, perhaps under event calendar, I forgot to mention, Aqua is also holding a seminar this Thursday in Sacramento focusing on the drought. Alex Cope from East Bay Mud is speaking, General Manager of Metropolitan Water District is speaking. It's probably going to be a pretty hot ticket, but if anybody were interested in going up there to Sacramento, we could probably make arrangements for you. I think Mr. Gallagher is going up there.
That's two.
Thursday, there's
Thursday,
Aqua
yes.
presentation, so
Well,
we could.
No, it's
We'll be at the
tomorrow.
drought presentation in the morning.
Yeah, the drought
Drought
presentation,
talk, yeah.
that's
Yes,
tomorrow.
yes.
Isn't it the 9th?
Oh, it's Thursday, yeah,
Oh,
Thursday the night.
Thursday
Tomorrow's
the
the
9th.
8th.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So if anybody were interested in going.
What's the time, the hours?
It's 8:30 until 12:30, and it's at the Crest Theater in downtown Sacramento.
It's also available online on the website.
I was just going to say it's a webinar. We're having a webinar at East Bay Mud. So we should check into the webinar, so maybe people can watch it.
President Duarte, if you wanted to go, they're actually asking people to register to go. I think they must be trying to get an idea of the head count that are coming. So if you're interested, I can forward you the link to register for the conference, or the drought.
I'll have to think about it. I'm going up there tomorrow. That's why I asked.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? As I said, no need for closed session. So therefore, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yes. We're getting resources with green.
Shifts.
No, I read it.
Everybody's